so that's that. That's what we made it. Um, okay, cool. So now the next one. There's a lot more for this one, Derek.
Oh.
Strixhaven.
Ooh.
There's so much more. So some of these are like the double-sided. We can either put them separately or just put them together. I think we should do them separately because there are some people who just play these cards. Like Adina's a deck for where is it? For this guy and only plays this this sorcery. So I think we should just evaluate them based on the card. Like look, even like Jodsry or wherever they're. Yeah, where's the journey? Yeah, these. Like, we
Oh,
can
yeah.
evaluate those two as separate cards. Alright, so this, do we even
Yeah.
have to talk about
It's,
this?
Simic
It has
shenanigans.
evade, it has Ward 2. Why did they give it Ward 2? Huh?
Because it's a bad card, so they needed to protect it.
Oh, obviously, right? Obviously. So yeah, I mean, a million ways to make the double tokens in Simic. Like, it's literally the bread and butter as of recently. They've kind of been pushing it more towards Simic and kind of out of green-white. It still exists in green-white, but a lot more in Simic. Yeah, there's not really a lot you got to say about this. Avengers, Endikar, all the Rampaging Baloths, Tender Shoot Dryad, all the doubles, and then with all the stupid, like, how many times we can copy legendary creatures in 2021? Like, we have 11 cards that make things non-legendary. Like, it's silly. Like, Helm of the Host with this, you start making triples, doubles, quad nipples of cards. This is easy S tier. Okay, so here's this is other artifact creatures you control have haste. Whenever one or more artifact creatures you control attacks, it deals damage equal to the number of tap creatures you control to any target. Tap artifacts you control to any target.
I think there's some potential, like a decent potential here.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
No, I totally agree. Like, I honestly believe that this card's pretty good because it's that effect to deal damage is so annoying. And remember, it gives all the other shit haste. So, like, it's always happening immediately. Like, if you play a Steel Hellkite or, like, something big, it's coming out and attacking immediately.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good cards that you can play in this. I'd say this is B. I don't think this is A because it's not, like, value, but it's annoying and very good. Because, again, Boros, like, Boros has been good with the artifacts.
And they want to be an attacking strategy anyway, so...
Yeah, I think it's B. It plays into the strategy really well. I've played against this deck. He's copied the triggers. He's made copies of the command. Like, it's very good. So this one is... it's a 5-mana 5/5 that you could pay an X and a green to tap it. It deals X damage to target creature with flying. Then it has channel. You can discard it. It deals X damage to... This is D tier. I'm not even going to finish reading. Yeah, it's bad. Having to discard a card or revealing it or doing anything like that is insanely hard for the command zone. We know about him, Beladros. I think this is like A. He's good. So he is 7 mana, but in green-black, that's literally easy. It's a joke. Especially considering that he makes creatures and you can stack them for mana, and you gain life. So he's a life gain outlet. He can pay 10 to untap all your lands, and he's a Tender Shoot Dryad at worst. Like, he makes 1/1s.
He's now in... Now, funny thing is, he's actually already made it into the top 8 most played Golgari commanders.
Yeah, because he's awesome.
He is.
I think he's A, though. I don't think he's S. Like, I think the paying 10 life to untap is great, but it's once each turn, so it's fair.
Unless you die and reanimate him with an Aetherflux Reservoir, and you get to untap all your lands, and then sacrifice him again, and then Phyrexian Reclamation back into your hand, and keep playing him, and eventually go plus. I had that happen to me.
Yeah, that's the thing, Derek. For sure. And it's not like Black can do that. Like, you have a million ways to do that. Okay, so Blex. This is, when Blex, I think it's when he dies, right?
It's other, so which side of it are you looking at? Just that side?
When he dies, you gain 4.
No, yeah, it's when
and then he gives,
Pest
+1/+1?
It's pest, bats, insects, snakes, and spiders you control get +1/+1.
Yeah.
So he's
Okay.
he's like a weird mixed tribal commander. And when he dies, his effects just kind of okay. His other
I
So
feel like
are we looking at the other side of him because like he is a flip card?
yeah, I have all the flip cards next to them, just so you
Okay.
know. I put them all next to each other. Uh, so to make life easier, if you want to do it that way, we can put them both like where we want to put them and like evaluate them together, or do you want to evaluate them like separately?
Because thing is, would you ever when you're building a deck, would you ever not look at one side of the card that has two
Yeah,
sides for?
exactly. So the back effect is really good. It's look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put any number of them into your hand.
The rest in your graveyard, you lose 3 life for each card you put into your hand this way.
Yeah, yeah. I I think that even
It,
just having both sides, like having a gain 4 life and then
the thing is,
dies goes back.
the thing
What's
is,
up?
if you use search for Blex, the spell goes to the graveyard, and you don't have a way to get it back out without another card
No, it
effect.
goes to the command zone.
Oh, true, I guess, yeah. But
Yeah, it's
then he costs 5 to play, and like, is he?
6. No, Blex doesn't cost 5.
No, I say he costs 3, but I'm saying if you want to cast him again, unless you're just worrying about casting Search for Blex as a draw card.
Yeah, I'd say it's like C, honestly.
Yeah,
I don't know if it goes into B. Like, but it is just like a Golgari kind of deck. This does put cards into the graveyard, which is nice. Because remember, you don't have to take the cards. It could just be milling, you know. But I guess it's not that amazing. I don't know what this one does.
oh, so here, I'll
Whenever a
read it.
player, oh, I know this one.
Yeah, whenever a player attacks one of your opponents, if that opponent has more life than another of your opponents, the attacking player draws a card, and you put 2+1 counters on a creature you control. Uh, I don't like cards like this. I know they're very politicky, but they give your opponent a benefit. This card lets your opponent draw a card, and you get to put counters on a
I still
creature
think it's
you
good,
control.
and you're an Orzhov, so like that's really good colors for this. Being able to life gain, just win on the spot with the extra draws, like
Well,
it's
you
super
don't
easy.
draw. Your opponents draw, and then you put 2/1 counters on a creature you control.
Yeah, but you also get to attack with her. You get to draw too if you attack. If you
Uh,
attack somebody that's lower.
oh yeah, sure, yeah.
So at worst, you're getting to draw also, and it's also forcing them to not attack you because it doesn't work on you.
Yeah, true.
I played against this card.
Uh,
It's not the worst card in the world, but I think it's just kind of weird. So I kind of want to put it here
yeah.
because it's kind of like a weird value engine where like it's not that amazing,
So you only get to
but
draw
like
on your turn, but that means if
she
everyone.
can get fucking huge though.
But then it's also the other thing is like, yeah, true. But then again, you're also giving your opponents a chance to draw into something even more than they would need to. I don't know. I'm always not a big fan of letting your opponents just draw a card for no reason. Especially if it's my commander's effect that's going to be in play. But you're right, your commander can get huge. But then it gets to a point.
I think she's
Then
because
what?
she doesn't play with Orzhov well, you know.
Yeah, but
Like she's not like an Orzhov card.
then here's the thing: what if the players realize that she might get too big and they start attacking you anyway?
Because like compare this card to Timna, you know.
Yeah. Oh, lightning.
Okay, so I think that we agree on a C. Cody can actually be broken.
No,
It's very hard to pull off.
you could also just build 5-color spells matters because you can't cast permanent spells. But the thing, a
Right.
lot of those spell decks want you to have permanents in play.
Yeah, how do you win other than approach the second sun in instant and sorcery tribal?
Storm,
Dramatic reversal, ice concept. No, you can't
Ice
play
Grant.
ice
No.
concept.
Yeah, that's the thing though.
Yeah,
Like,
it has to be grape shot or something. I feel like his value is so good. Like I can't not put him in B because he's a 5-color commander. I almost want to put him in A.
but then
Just
again,
because he's 5-color.
but now that doesn't say that you can't get all your permanents into play and then cast him after you're set up.
Right. And his effect is really good. He's Cascade. I
Yeah.
think you can build this broken, but it's just really hard to win.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is B or A, and like people just like to play this card. And you are 5 colors, so like you'll find a way, right? Like demonic consultation or something. Like you literally have every Magic the Gathering card available.
It also doesn't stop you from casting a spell that puts permanents into play because if it just lets you put it into play for free, like then you're not casting them. So there are ways around it, like
Yeah, yeah, I get you.
just straight reanimation, for example.
Mm-hmm. I could, yeah, like World Gorger Dragon could be a payoff, you know.
Yeah, it's
Like
it's really hard to set up to actually make it do anything. So like, is it worth?
but it's also 3 mana, like a 1/4 that makes mana. You know, I still feel like it's okay. Like I feel like its effect alone and the fact that it's 5 color, I feel like we either have to put it here or here. I'm almost debated to put it here just because, like, I feel like I don't know how, but I feel like you can build this deck. Like whether it's like doing a ghostly flicker line and having to hold like a dual caster mage in your hand or something until it's time to try to win. Like I could see it for sure.
All right, yeah, but I'd still
But
leave it in B.
yeah, okay.
The
I
fact
agree.
that there's a limitation on it still kind of sucks at times.
Yeah, okay. So here's Deka. So
So,
as a card, this card's amazing.
yeah,
But as a commander, still pretty okay.
yeah.
I mean,
You
it's
still
not terrible.
you still can just play a generic spell casting this. It's the same thing with like how if you look at like mono blue commanders,
Mm,
uh the the third most played deck is Tallarand over
yeah.
Urza and Emery, which are basically artifact decks. And Tallarand is basically the same thing, except he makes 2/2 Drakes, and she makes all different sizes and can make them unblockable.
Right, but they're not. I mean, they don't have flying.
Yeah,
That's the only.
that's the one trade off. Like she makes flyers, and there's flying matters cards that you get to pair with it. But I still think she is She is value for your deck. So I would say either B or A. I definitely think she's better than
Just because
Cody.
playing the counterspell deck, like, oh, if we're doing it that way, then I think this card's better than those two. But I do agree. Oh man, getting him.
Yeah.
So this card's actually pretty good. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life, and then you can sacrifice another creature. She gets +X+0 until end of turn, where X is the sacrifice creature's power.
So she's
In
got.
green, so a sack outlet in green black that
Mm.
whenever you gain life, they lose life.
Well,
So
she
she's a
is.
combo.
She's also half of a combo piece. So you.
Yeah, exclusive blood. In
And
in one of the best colors to tutor it, so like that immediately puts her here or here.
yeah, because
I think she just goes here.
you get to play a creature based deck to try and draw it still because you could sacrifice a creature for her effect, and you're also in black. So yeah, I think I agree.
Yeah, she seems good. Okay,
Yeah, we know it's Simic.
the question is, who's better?
I actually think that the twins are better.
You think so?
She comes. So yeah. So here's what my
But
thing.
Avenger is Zendikar.
But yeah,
Queen.
but Adrix does basically the same thing. It's double.
Rare replication.
So remember, she
But Tender Shoe Dryad means you can make infinite. Like.
So here's the thing. Essex requires like kind of a lot more moving parts where Adrix just kind of works good on their own.
Not really. You just play token makers.
Yeah, but the thing
Like
is,
you're still playing
Essex
almost the same deck.
because Essex needs to be in play. You need to have something in play that you want to make a copy of, and then the copy maker.
It's their creatures also.
But it's still a 3-part card. While Adrix just plays off any type of token generator on its
You're
own.
telling me that like by turn 6 you're not gonna have like
Look,
something
I am just going off of just generic abilities here, not like looking at as far as like what we could do.
Agree. I think I agree.
I think
Even
Adrix.
Just being 4, this is just slightly better.
Yeah, it just peaks out a little bit more, I think, and getting the double, like, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, so this card, this is actually pretty cool. I could see you making this deck maybe. It's whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, return target non-legendary creature card from your graveyard to your hand, and then the backside is it's a 7 mana spell, or no, 8 mana spell. As an additional cost to cast this spell,
sacrifice any number of creatures.
Any number of creatures.
It costs
the
2 less.
Costs 2 less to cast. Yep. And then each opponent sacrifices a creature, and then you create a token. Right.
Yeah, 3/6 black red. After a creature, it says for each opponent sacrifices a creature, you create a 3/6 black and red avatar creature token with haste, and whenever this creature attacks, it deals 3 damage to each opponent. So you're just playing like probably a really hard control deck.
With all sacrifice tribal.
Yeah.
Sacrifice tribal.
You are in the best colors for that too.
I think that's pretty okay, to be completely honest. Like Mardu sacrifice tribal is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have a lot of combos that you can pull off. Like, I think that is easily, like,
Yeah.
up here.
You still think you're very heavy dependent on black to get you out of the value pit that white and black tends to do on its own? I mean
White
I
and
mean
black.
I mean red and
White
white.
and black, Eric, white and black is very different than just white.
I know.
White
I
and black
know.
cards are amazing.
But the thing is, like, they still their overall way to like value isn't as high. Like, you need the really, like
Because
I
we're
said,
talking about the white and black removal is, like, top
you
notch.
have you have the best removal. The thing is, like I said, you're pretty heavy, like having the black side carrying you into the keeping value up with like other
Oh, totally.
players,
Which you can.
which you can. But like you also
Especially for a deck that wants creatures to die, we have like a million
Mhm.
things that does that.
You just then also lose the great green stuff with like black green though.
I
But
do
yeah, I
think
definitely think it's better than Cody because I think Cody still becomes on that risk.
Okay, so this is you sacrifice a creature, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature, remove a counter, create a treasure.
Wait, let me
No.
find him.
Here, no, I could just zoom in.
Uh,
Remove a counter from a creature you control, create a treasure token, sacrifice an artifact, create a 2/1 white and black inkling creature token with flying, and then you can untap him. I mean, in a black deck, that's not terrible. Like, it's not drawing, but it's making mana. You're paying 4 to make 1. Like, that's just kind of weird to me.
Yeah, but I mean, we know how powerful black can ramp though. Let's be honest.
But you have to sack an artifact, like, to do the.
Yeah, I don't like him.
Yeah, no, I don't like him. He's probably like, I don't know if I'd consider him. No, he has to remove a counter to make a treasure. No, that's too much work. I really think.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely not worse than that guy though.
No.
Okay, so the Silver Quill. Whenever a not, so it has Mentor and Flying for 4. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, if it had counters on it, create X tap 2/1 white and black inkling creature tokens with flying, where X is the number of. Yeah, so like another like I have to have counters in a black and white deck.
I know they
Which,
printed
like,
a bunch of new stuff for this set, but like I don't think there's enough overall to make it like worth trying.
yeah, like there's a lot of white counter stuff, but like, is that really
Now,
that good?
what I think what all these decks really want is just like Undying. Like, you want to throw Machias in them to make them good because they would get the counters on them when they die. But like, you're still.
It does make them a little bit better.
But that's
actually.
also like, you're still. The thing is, I'm still looking at like not being pigeonholed on a single card getting you out of this. Like, how good are they on their own in just a generic like? Okay, I don't draw Machias. How good are they? Like, I don't think if a card is dependent too hard on a single thing to be functional, I wouldn't say it's good. Like, it makes it better, yes, but like, if I don't have Machias, then like, if my deck dies because of a card that's in my 99, doesn't feel great. But I definitely think she's the best out of them, just because she gets to add white as compared to, yeah. So the Prismari dude. Sorry, Tom, you're muted.
Okay.
There you go.
So, artifacts you control. So it when it enters, you create a treasure, and then you can tap artifacts for instant and sorceries. That's it.
Well, you know, now with how many spells make treasures, I'm starting to think that this guy is starting to look a little better.
I still think he's here though. Like, he doesn't do enough on his own for sure. Like, being a mana fixer is not good in the command zone. Like, it's only busted with Sylvala because she's Sylvala, but like,
Yeah.
this is making 1 treasure. Like, I feel like that's kind of bad. Like, I feel like he just falls here, honestly.
He just makes anything that you. Yeah, true. Because I think it's just better artifact. Like,
He's better in the 99. Like,
Mhm.
he's fine in the 99. Like, a 4-mana dragon that makes a treasure, and then like the Goldspan dragon is like 100 times better.
yeah,
so what is this
100%.
guy?
Oh, is that the cook?
Master Chef, yeah.
Yeah.
Trample at the beginning of your end step, create a number of food tokens equal to the number of non-token creatures you had enter the battlefield under your control this turn. Sack of food. Target creature gains indestructible. What do you think? It's got a sack outlet, but
So-
only for foods.
Uh,
I don't think making food is good at all.
No, and you can't even play Asmo in his deck in the deck. You can run Underworld Cookbook, but still just feels like kind of meh.
I still feel like he's like here.
I mean, he is decently sized, and like you could making things indestructible is kind of cool. He becomes protection, I guess, but like I don't know, as a commander, eh.
Okay, so these two.
All right, so it's exile type card of your library. If it's a land card, put into your hand. Otherwise, put a study counter on it, and then create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put X counters on it for each different mana value among non-land cards own in exile with a study counter on them. Then the other side is flying X and 2 blue tap, exile top X cards of your library, and put a study counter on each of them. Then you may put a card you want from exile with a study counter into your hand. I don't like either of them. Because you get to that weird instance, like, okay, I'm going to activate. Like, the one guy only seems good. Like, the blue side I like more. And I would still only probably use it for one, so it'd be 3 mana on top. Just to draw a card.
Still a systemic deck, so I feel like it ends up in C regardless. Just because it is value, you know? And definitely ahead of Prismari and maybe the Blex, you know?
See, actually, I really don't like the green side of it because you can't get back the cards that you get. You just get to make a fractal token. I would much rather play the blue side and just basically it's 3 mana draw a card.
Because I'd put them there.
Okay, yeah, I definitely.
What do you think about Jadzi?
That's going in either A or
I think
S.
I think here.
Because with the proper setup, like, because if you read her real close, she is any non-land, so you get hit creatures too with Magecraft.
She also puts the lands into play on tap.
And like hitting Journey, because like I've been messing around with her in a Rashmi style deck, and I don't know, I'm absolutely loving when I get to put her into play.
Like, this is so much more value than like any of these.
All right, what we got next?
Okay, so this is the target creature.
Oh, that's that reprint.
D tier.
That's the tribal snake dude, right?
Yeah, target creature can't be blocked. Yeah. That must have I must have saved that on accident. So here's Lifelink Menace spells. You cast that target a creature costs. That target a creature costs 2 less to cast.
Oh yeah, that's yeah. So that was one of the dudes I was thinking about trying to make a black white tribal auras because you could aura target himself, and it costs less to cast. He's a reducer on that side. You don't get too much value out of it unless you have like because most of the enchantresses have green in them. We have a few white ones. And we do have a few creatures that are like on the spell side targeting your own stuff.
But not really in these colors though. Like, what do you do in these colors?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you literally play enchantments, tribal.
I feel like he's not that great. You know?
The other trade-off is like you do a mix of enchantments and the other side is like you do like just target removal on your opponents. But yeah, you still run from the issue where like it's hard to get value out of it because we only have 3 enchantresses that we could play, and then everything else we have an enchantment that draws. We just had like the big thing is that people play a lot of enchantments that draw when they enter, and like give it double strike and then just do like Winds of Wrath, but like, not great.
Yeah,
he's like a super budget weird option.
Yeah, so this one is a 3 mana one with haste. When it attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Whenever you exile one or more cards from your library, you put a +1/+1 counter on them.
Oh.
So he's like your over-the-top card.
Yeah, a little off the top.
I think I mean, he immediately gets in here just for being a value card, you know? He's definitely not D tier. Like, he's not terrible. Honestly.
Yeah, I'd stick him in C.
I'd probably put him, like, here. Like, probably here or here.
He still comes in that issue where, like, mono red, but it helps a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree. So here's a 1-drop. If a non-token creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead when...
So when they die, you pay 2, you get the pest. And this other side is whenever you gain life, you may pay 1. If you do, put a +1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain trample until the end of turn. So that other side is much better. I mean,
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's not bad. Maybe like low B, like above Cody. Because it still runs a little bit of hate, but also could get buff, and you're also in a really good color for creature shenanigans and gaining life.
Yeah, also things dying. Like, it's kind of like this deck, but like much worse.
See, the only thing I'm off iffy with these 2-sided cards is you can only have 1 in play until it dies and you get to replay it again. And I think that automatically makes them kind of worse because if you can only really build around 1 effect, really. I think that Dean, you could still play the 1-drop side of it because I think it does enough on its own, and then you could flip to the other side later on if it dies.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, so this one is prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to attacking artifact creatures you control. Whenever 1 or more artifact creatures enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. You can only activate this ability once each turn. Pretty bad.
Yeah. And
they have to be... If it was just artifacts, we'd be talking. But the fact that it's artifact creatures makes it pretty bad.
And it's only once per turn, and you're also still stuck in mono white.
But it is preventing damage, so like it's not the worst thing in the world. It's still like generating some value, so like I'd probably put it like in the back here. Like I think it's better than these, honestly. Like these could work with Undying and stuff like that, but they just feel like too much work, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like she has combo potential, you know? Because she makes creatures, right?
But she's kind of like that weird, that thing that when it dies, it makes tokens, kind of.
So this one is, you may cast an instant or sorcery card from your
graveyard this turn.
Yep. If that card doesn't target a creature you control, it costs something.
8. It costs 8 more to cast.
Yeah.
So here, the reason why I don't, and I think it says you also only, you can only activate this once each turn. So I kind of don't like this because like you basically just played tribal blink white cantrips. And
yeah, no. It's cool in Dean's heroic deck. He has like a Nagila heroic deck, and it's good in that because they target themselves. But as far as a commander card, like a commander, it's not great. And this list is based on how well they play as a commander, not how well something plays in the 99. So, because like some cards would probably be better. Like we said, Prismari, if we were just talking about like an overall card, he'd probably be in B. And like some of these cards would definitely move up in value. Like if we're just talking about overall cards in the 99, but it's how well you can play them as commander. So this is the wolf that turns into Luca, if you wanna.
Yeah. So it's the main thing is whenever an opponent attacks 1 or more planeswalkers you control, you get to put a loyalty counter on each planeswalker you control. And whenever a permanent you control becomes a target of a spell or ability your opponent controls, you get to draw a card. And Luca on the other side is you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. If a creature card was discarded this way, draw 2 cards instead. His -2 is return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains haste, exile at the beginning of your next upkeep. And then -7 is you get an emblem with whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target.
I think this is pretty okay. I mean, it's hard to pull off Planeswalker Tribal in Boros.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean,
it does draw when things get targeted.
Some of the Chandras are okay, but like I feel like the Planeswalker side is the better side than the creature side. And then, but then it's like, then you want to play a creature. That's the thing about these flip cards, though. It's like really awkward for me. Is that like you kind of almost have to build for just one side, and you just get the colors from the other side. Because like, okay, if you build Mila, you're playing a Walker deck. If you're playing a Luca,
some of them work. Some of them work okay together.
Yeah, Luca on the other side like wants to discard creatures and is all about creatures. So you wouldn't play any walkers if you play the Luca side. Now it's like, okay, well I have the options. I don't know. White.
I think they're ending up somewhere over here.
I think maybe above pests, but like not above drawing. I don't know. I think the effects are too polar to like work well together. Because like no side is a good side for the other side.
So these two.
Oh yeah, you may exile the blue side. The Dean is you may exile an instance or sorcery card from your hand and put 3 hone counters on it. It gains the beginning of your upkeep if this card is exiled. Remove the hone counter from it, and when the last hone counter is removed from this card, it's exiled. You may cast it. It costs 4 less to cast this way, so it's like a weird suspend. And the red side is the beginning of your upkeep. Exile the top card of each opponent's library. To the end of the turn, you may cast spells from among those exiled cards, and you may spend mana of those many mana to cast those spells. Whenever you cast a spell from exile, put a +1 counter on them. So both sides are decent. I think you could build either of these. So one is like playing your opponent's cards, and one is just a weird version of suspend on instants or sorceries, but it makes them cost less. Those doesn't actually cast them for free. I think the red side is actually better than the blue side, in all honesty.
I agree.
But you get to play your opponent's stuff, but you still get to run blue, which is kind of cool. So maybe it would fit into low B a little bit.
I'm starting to feel that this one might be like, I don't know. No, because you only draw once.
Yeah, and then everyone else potentially draws or they attack you.
Okay, so this one.
That is. I don't see on my list. Or what's he do?
Disciple Enforcer.
Beginning of your
Discipline Enforcer. At the beginning of your end step, does it say fog each player? For each player, put a 1/1 counter on up to one target creature that player controls. Each creature with a 1 or more counter on it can't attack you or planeswalkers you control unless they pay X, where X is the number of counters on those creatures. This is D.
Yeah.
This is like a mono white, like not caring. I think that this goes above the can't block. Or no, this is still a snake tribal deck, so this.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that's pretty bad. Octavia.
Living Thesis. So she's big. She's got a big ward. She makes creatures 8/8 octopuses when you cast spells.
She also casts 8 less to cast if you have 8 or more instant sorcery cards in your graveyard. I feel like this deck's easy to build.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's still kind of like it's not giving like good enough value.
Yeah.
It does make 8/8, but only until end of turn. So like you could play an instant sorcery tribal deck, and then like the Drake that you make off of Tallarand becomes an 8/8. So I think that that's cute. I don't know if it gets it into B. Maybe it's like somewhere around here.
I would say it's maybe the best in C. Because I still think it has a lot more power potential because it's a low cost.
With ward,
it's really
play stored. You can just kill people if you're really feeling it.
That's thing.
It's fucking annoying.
Because it's really easy to cycle through a bunch of like cantrips. I think Octavia is a cantrip deck, and then you just like try to go as much as you can with her ability, but like it's still really dependent on your 99 to like get through it.
I think Oscar's really good. He is vigilant. You can sack an artifact. He gets plus target creature you control gets +2/+0, and then you can pay X, exile an artifact card with converted mana cost X from your graveyard, and then you create 2 copies of that. Funny, there is one token doubler in red white, which is interesting making. It does work with it. So I think Oscar's actually really good. Like I know we're in Boros, but there's so many good artifacts that you can abuse with this card.
Mm-hmm.
I told you with Mishra's Bauble, like a lot of the 0 mana ones, like
it's Anointed Procession. That's the card.
Anointed Procession. Yeah. So I don't know if he gets to A though, but I think he's like a high B for sure. Like probably somewhere around
Yeah,
the other
definitely
artifact commander.
definitely above Deka. I
Yeah.
actually think it'd be above the other artifact creature too,
Yeah,
because I think
I
he
do
just
agree.
gets more value out of what he does.
Like, removal on a creature is always really good. Like, that's why this is so good. Like, I know it's in Boros, but you have to understand how annoying it is. And also, they can play cards that copy the trigger, and now it's a tapped artifact, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, they play Strionic Resonator or Lithoform Engine, you know? It's great. Okay, so here's the red and white ones.
So it's discard a card, draw a card for the red side, 4 mana, tap, reveal cards on the top of your library until you revealed a non-legendary, non-land card with mana value 3 or less. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put the revealed cards not cast this way in the bottom of your library in a random order. And the white one, Augusta Dean of Order, is other tap creatures you control get +1/+0. Other untapped creatures you control get +1/0/+1. Whenever you attack, untap each creature you control, then tap any number of creatures you control. So I like the red side a lot more than the white
I
side.
feel like you could abuse the red side. Like, I feel like there's something broken you could do that I'm not saying.
Oh, because any of the suspend cards that have 0, because they have a mana value of 3 or less.
But even just, like, is there some bullshit way to win where, like, you know, have no cards in your deck and you're just like, this does the thing?
Not for white, I don't think.
I feel like this is either D or C. I like maybe like the back of C. Actually, this might just be D. Like I don't know. I feel.
I mean,
like
it is a free spell every turn and is a looter, but it's also a lot of mana to do that.
You're also in white. Like, what are you looting? Like, if this was black, you know.
And that's like the thing. It's like you could hit suspend cards, and that's like really it.
But then they're bad when you draw them.
Yeah. And like most of them aren't even like super great.
I think he goes like the back of here.
Yeah.
I think the elephant's just slightly better. Because there are a lot of artifact creatures that you could do with this, like, and also the preventing of the damage is okay, but you're in mono white. Actually, I think this might be better, honestly. He's definitely the worst C card.
The elephant. Spirit you control get +1/+0.
Elephant.
Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 3/2 red and white spirit creature token. So basically, you make 4/2 spirits with him. I think.
I'm not really feeling it.
Yeah, I think how you build him is you build looting with like white exile stuff, so that every time you exile a card, you get it. But like,
I feel like that's just so much setup, though.
yeah,
and
like
he goes somewhere here.
I don't know. I think he may, yeah, because yeah, it's a lot of setup. You're dumping cards, and also like having 4/2 spirits, and they're not even flying spirits; they're just on the ground. So like,
yeah, they're bad.
unless the other thing I can think of is you just play an actual like flying spirit tribal token deck, but like with white. But I know you have red.
Yeah. Okay, so this one. What do you think it is?
That's
This card's good.
at the beginning of combat on your turn, create X tokens that are copies of another target creature you control, where X is 1 plus the number of instant sorcery cards you've cast this turn. They gain haste. That could actually be really cool. It is also stuck in mono red though, but I think red has the best creatures to attack with at times.
A lot of legendaries, though.
Yeah.
A lot of good legendaries when I'm thinking of the best ones.
But then it also feels like you play half just good ETB artifact creatures.
Meteor Golem, Combustible Gear Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's just better, you know, with the Oskier. You know,
yeah, 100%.
But I still think it's okay. It's definitely not D tier. It's definitely C or B.
I wouldn't put her at B.
I'd probably say like close to the top of C tier. Because that is shenanigans. I'd probably put her here. Because I think these three are still better.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this one. She just returns to her owner's hand, and you can copy an instant or sorcery spell. You may choose new targets for the spell.
It's not bad. It's a lot of setup with herself, like a 3 mana to play her, 2 mana to return her. But it is a constant copy. So I guess it's not like the worst thing.
Yeah. I think she ends up in C just because you're playing Is It Spells, and she's probably better than.
She's still like a free. I'm gonna copy something anytime I need to if you really need it.
You think she? I think she's better than all these.
Yeah.
Probably better than.
I think I actually would think I would put her to the top of this list, or like right behind Octavia.
Yeah,
just
because
think.
they're kind of the same deck, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the bear. This is really good in the 99 of decks, by the way. Broken in the 99 of decks, but as a commander, I don't know.
You would have because he's the thing. It's like so creatures with no abilities, right? That's that one.
Yeah.
Honestly,
And then it also returns target creature with no abilities from your graveyard to hand when it enters the battlefield or attacks. And then whenever you may have creatures, yeah, they get +1/+1 and they can't be blocked pretty much.
Yeah, honestly, I think I kind of like it more than like. I don't think she's great or amazing, but I think you could still play like the creature draw package with her, and just
Yeah, she is green.
yeah. And the other side thing is we could also play tokens because tokens have no abilities too. So you have any type of like green shenanigans that makes tokens, they also qualify for her ability, unless like they're tokens with like reach or something.
Is she better than all this though?
I don't know.
She is green, so that immediately makes her pretty good. And you're playing creatures. Think maybe like here.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. So the other the blue green thing at least like draws you a card each turn. I mean, still needs you to do stuff, but I do like the how it's a bear and it wants you to play basically bears, like just generic creatures.
I like the Silver Quill. It's a group hug card.
I hate it.
Yeah, at the beginning of combat, you basically give players stuff. So like I just it's D tier, but like it's not bad because it still does a lot. But I think it's like the top of D tier. It does a lot, like, and it draws. But like a group hug card is like never that great.
Okay, so and that also just might be us like hating it, but like I don't know, I really just don't like it.
No, making a 2/1 drawing a card and then putting counters on each creature they control is not great. Because you have to choose two. Like it's not like it's you may choose two, but like you can't activate the ability without doing it. So like
so what I think what happens is like you have to try and where it's like okay, I'll draw a card and you have no creatures, so you'll get +1 counters or
yeah,
make.
But you have to hope for the best.
Like, yeah.
Or I guess it does draw cards on its own, so I think that immediately at least puts it there.
Yeah, and then I guess the other thing is like okay, until I deal with the board or deal with stuff, I will just do nothing. Or if you know you have like a good board, like one-sided board wipe, you're like, okay, you could get the things, and you get a 2/1 inkling with flying, and I'll draw a card.
I'm actually thinking this is worse than all this stuff, but just because these at least like draw and do things, like make value, you know.
True.
This one is just like a mana fixer and still just a Is It Spells deck. Okay, what do you think about these two?
That is. Let me scroll to them. There you are.
Yeah.
Put a +1 counter on each creature you enter the battlefield under your control this turn, and then once put a +1 counter on each other target creature, then Dina Shadow deals 2 damage to that creature. Whenever creature you control with a +1 counter on it dies, draw a card.
Here's the problem: is they play so fucking well together, but you can't play them at the same time.
I know that's the thing is I feel like a lot of these cards kind of do. So I think the idea was like you'd be able to play more than one legendary in your 60 if you're playing a 60 card deck, and you could play both sides of them in play. So it's like you get to have both legendaries in one card and get to put them into play. You don't have to run like.
But as far as commander standards go, it's so hard to put them both out.
Yeah.
We're playing black and white, so like it's not fucking impossible. But like, I don't know.
See, the thing is,
like
and
they end up around here where it's just a lot of fucking work to do what you're trying to do, you know?
Yeah, because the thing is, okay, you do a +1 counter build. You don't really use the other side of it, but if you're doing the other side of it, I guess you kind of are. I mean, that one's probably the closest out of all of them. But yeah,
Yeah, like it's good, but it's work. And the thing is counters are good in white, but not black, really. Again, with the, I guess, actually, with Micaeus, this just draws. It's bottom effect. with undying creatures. So it's actually not that bad. If you build your deck around that, I actually might put them up here. I actually kind of want to move the Prismari down to D. You know?
Yeah, I think
feel
so.
Like he's just really not doing a lot. Like, I'm looking at these and I'm like, these just might be better than it. Like, he's just really not doing a lot. Like, I think that these are better. Like, you could build a deck around counters and make.
I mean, don't forget, he still has a.
I think that
basically an Urza tap effect.
That. I think it moves above these two, but I don't know about these. They might be better than these actually, because you're in better colors also. But Blex, yeah, it might be better than that also. Because like the counters, and then whenever just the effect that whenever a creature with a +1/+1 counter on it dies, you draw a card is really not hard to pull off. Like this one is like a loop around. Like this one just makes tokens, which sure you could probably abuse that in some way, but I don't really think that that's that amazing. Like, yeah, you could probably have, like, some convoluted combo with Phyrexian Altar, but welcome to every Orzhov deck ever. Like, you know, there's a million better ways to combo. And then this one, you have to do a bunch of stuff to make it work. And then you're only in one color, you're only in black, which is much harder to make the creatures work, you know, for that, you know, strategy. And yeah, he puts counters on things, but you have to sack a creature to do it in the first place. And yeah, he can do stuff with persist, but like none of this is drawing. Like it's just making a treasure and like untapping himself. I think that these are placed correctly, and I do move this down. Like this might even be slightly better.
So here's actually I might make an argument to actually put Prismari up a little bit. So the deck that wants to play him, I'm just curious at like what it is. It is still basically instant sorcery matters deck with a few stuff that makes like treasures along the way, and like with metallurgic summoning because you get to make creatures that, but like its spell list and what it really wants is what makes it kind of undesirable. It's high costing stuff like Dockside Extortionist is a big thing in here. Hull Breacher is a big thing, and Goldspan Dragon, and Jessica's Will and Urza. So you're like talking like there's almost like $150 for just the top cards to build that. Trying to build that.
So like you could blink him and stuff. It's good for in these colors.
Like because
like,
he still makes artifacts Urzas instead of just blue. It's any color, but it's only for instances with sorcery. So it's like it's still kind of weird, but yeah, I don't know.
That restriction it makes it bad to me. That's why.
But he's also Izzet, which is like the colors that want to be instant and sorceries anyway.
Right, but like, okay, like it enters, I make a treasure, it made a mana rock, and then now like my, you know, my treasures tap for mana. But like, you're caring about making treasures in an Izzet deck when you could just be playing instant sorcery tribal, like instead of having to play this like weird middle ground artifact / instant sorcery matters deck. Like,
well, we do have because we have Trail of Evidence, which is whenever you cast instant sorcery, you get to investigate. You get Brass's Bounty, you get Hull Breacher, you get to play Goldspan Dragon in the list, the Spell Swindle card.
But then, like, okay, you're playing big spells, but like
Seize the Spoils.
You're playing a bunch of just making artifacts. I think it's more like a for fun thing than it is actually powerful, is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's a flavor thing because of what the commander's doing.
Also, it's made
spells.
Well, because some of these are bigger spells, but they end up kind of costing less because you're using the things that you make are like draw cards, create a treasure card, draw 2 cards, create 2 treasures, and then you have Hellkite Tyrant as your like top off to just win the game, and you still get to run Dramatic Reversal. So I still think you get to kind of play some silly Storm stuff. You have Storm the Vault too, which is that thing that transforms into adds blue for each
treasure
artifact
maker?
you control.
Oh yeah.
So I think, but I think you're kind of right though. It's still like really awkward to try and pull off.
You're playing a lot of artifacts matters with an instant sorcery tribal shell. Like it just feels like it doesn't work well together. Like I get you're playing a lot of the ones that just draw and do a thing already, but like that enchantment could be like Archmage Emeritus, or like you're just playing more instant sorcery.
Oh, we also forget. I forgot we get Academy Manufacturer and Stormkiln Artist in the list now too. I still think there's I think there's a decent enough stuff, but I still think it's just kind of still just an awkward spell slinger deck.
I totally agree. It could be the top of D.
Mhm.
That's about it. I still think that there's probably shenanigans with this that we're not seeing, or maybe these, but I definitely feel good about these, and I definitely feel good about these. This does so much that like it has to just make C tier for that alone. Uh, so I don't know. It also has draw in it, so I don't like this one. This one's not that great.
No, I
The
really don't
quandary.
like him either, honestly.
Yeah, it's when it enters, double the number of +1/+1 encounters on target creature you control, and then whenever it attacks, you may have the base power and toughness of that creature you control become equal to this dragon's power and toughness until end of turn. It's not great.
No, it's
It's
it
still
if
playing Simic,
but
so like
it's
it can't be the worst deck in the world.
but the thing is, it's playing a not traditional Simic style, so all the things that make Simic kind of good. Next, you may have the base power toughness.
But like counters are fine.
All right, so here's one. Actually, no. Here's what. So it's not just a single creature; it's creatures you control at base power toughness equal to his power toughness at the end of the turn, and he doubles the counters on target creature. So you could double the counters on him.
He has to have counters.
Oh yeah. So you have to put counters on him, and like if you get him big enough, you can potentially make something. But then again, isn't like it just kind of a really weird and awkward version of that shapeshifting card, the X, what's that one, that the white one that gets buffs everything.
Mirror Entity?
Yeah, isn't Mirror Entity just kind of better? Because it's also when he attacks. That's lifelink at the beginning of your end step. If you gain life this turn, you may pay X life for X amount of life you gain this turn. If you do, create an XX Black demon creature token with flying.
Not the worst card in the world.
No, not the worst, because he already has lifelink. Black is really easy at gaining life, and I think there's a lot of stuff that could making a demon creature token, gaining life, doing life shenanigans. I
still feel like it ends up here. Just because token making is not like
no.
Unless it's a degenerate amount of token making, like I still think it ends up like somewhere in between here. Like honestly. Like all the token making it's sad to say it, but like all the token other than this is a very different situation. He's making them every upkeep. Like he untaps all the lands. They all gain a life when they die. He's a huge body. Like this is so different. And then none of the other token making, like, actually, I kind of want to move these down. I think that these are better. I think that Cody's the worst in B tier also.
I think so too.
But
now Lorehold Dragon. I
actually really like this
I
card.
think he's pretty good. So look at the top 7 of your library and cast an instant sorcery spell with mana value less than or equal to his power from among them without paying the mana cost. So don't forget, white has decent buff, has decent like.
Red has 1 mana +4/+1. Like
yeah,
red is ready.
White has anthems, so he could just be like, imagine slamming like just like an Elishnorn. Like, okay, I think getting a free spell
Azella.
every. He's all
Like, I agree. There's also ways to win. You get to play Aurelia, like Helm of the Host combo, so you can have 2 of these. Yeah. I could see it. Like, I could totally see this being a deck.
Oh, yeah, you could totally play just, like, extra combat steps, because most of them are 5 and lower anyway, and you dig really hard with that.
Above this. He's definitely above that.
You stack him, and also, if you have, like, Rings of Brighthearth and just copy his, Shronic Resonator to copy his ability.
I think I'd put him here.
I think he's really good. I think there's enough, like, decently high-power spells that he could hit that makes him...
There's a lot of broken green-white cards. Like, you could play Aroas. Like,
also... A 5/5 flyer is kind of scary to block and kind of hard to block. So
Vigilant Haste.
Yeah.
Flying Vigilant Haste.
So you get his effect the turn he comes out. He doesn't tap, so he can still block. And like I said, big creature in the air is a lot harder to block than like a 2/2 or 2/3 in the air.
Is this really that good, these two? I mean, I feel,
no, because remember...
of Sack Tribal,
Yeah, you're 3 colors.
Oh, don't even...
Yep. Nope, yep, he's already an established deck.
This is so stupid. Like, the fact that he doubles himself is the dumbest fucking thing. Like, people are playing, like, Turbo. It's Xu Yun on crack.
Yeah, Tom, he's the 4th most played commander deck already for this color.
Yeah, he's insanity. Insanity.
he's above Mixus of the experience counter that makes him cost less. He's above him.
Yeah.
And he's above Brood Claw.
He's better. He's better. Brutenclad is... You mean Brutenclad?
Yeah, Brutenclad.
Brutenclad is an artifact matter stat, though.
So he's one deck higher than Brutenclad, but still under Locust God. So it's Niv Mizzet.
We have so many... Because of Strixhaven, we have so many... Like, when you do a thing, like when you cast... Also, just randomly throughout the Annals of Time, we've gotten, like, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, like cards like Shark Typhoon, like, there's just so many things that when you cast or copy, and this is cast or copy. Yep. So if you play, like, a Storm card, he gets that big and doubles himself every time. If you play Mind's Desire, and you've cast, like, let's say 4 spells reasonably, you're going to get 8 or 5, whatever it ends up being, 5. So 9, so he gets 9 doubled, he gets 18, and then you get to do all of those spells, and each one of the new versions of Magecraft from Strixhaven also counts copies.
Yeah.
So like you're playing a Storm deck that has probably one of the most degenerate commanders that you could put in the command zone for it, that you could also just kill someone. You just play a blue spell, I draw a card, give him unblockable, you're dead. And I have 40 cards in my hand because I draw that much.
And also, like, when you're casting a copy causes, like, stuff to trigger. That also, like, for all of our spell casting matter stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
and if you start looking, like, even Jorian, like, the one that when you cast your second spell each turn, there's so many of these just random cards that just count, like, spells. Like, I was starting to look into it, and, like, people are finding these things that just say whenever you cast a spell, like, this happens. Like, it's so good. Like, he's so good. And then you have a commander that just kills people for 3 mana, and his effect is ridiculous. Like, he's definitely better than all these. He's not better than them.
Low-key, can I talk about how much I've actually really started to like Fracture as a card? The one white, 1 black, instant destroy artifact, enchantment, or planeswalker?
Oh, yeah, Fracture?
Yeah, for 2 mana from Strixhaven. I like that card a lot. It's actually...
Fracture?
It's called Fracture. Yeah. Yeah, that thing.
Oh, this one. Yeah, they're playing this in Modern.
Well, because Artifact, Enchantment, or Walker. Like, Walkers are kind of a thing now that we have to kind of remember, like, keep an eye on.
Yes, I totally agree.
And if you don't have green, like, that's your destroy everything.
Okay, so this one is, choose another target creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it equal to the number of life gain this turn, or the amount of life lost this turn, whichever is greater, activate only as a sorcery. Meh.
No, because if you lost that sorcery part, would be way better. But like, no.
I think it just goes like.
Yeah, and it's like still the same thing where like, okay, I'm putting counters on it, and it's equal to like life gained or lost. Like, I mean, you can build a hardcore life gain, life loss deck in those colors.
Putting counters on thing and then they just die.
Cool, like, you have a not unblockable big creature, but like as we know, like
it's not better than drawing or making tokens, which is all this.
Because Tom, it's funny in all the decks that we build, like we've never just made try to put besides like Voltron, a single big creature never does it.
No, and even my build, most builds of Voltron don't involve counters, Derek. No. It's either auras or equipment. That's like the 2 ways you build.
Yeah, because I just mean just in a general sense, like okay, like what deck it goes like I put a 9/9 in play, no other abilities, just a 9/9, and I win with this, or it's now most people are like okay, I'm gonna block it, even at worst, okay, I'll block it, or I'll just take 9. It doesn't do anything. I'll take 18 damage, and like. Just making one big creature, I don't think really matters.
Yeah, it needs something with it, for sure. So, all right, this one is Fedora Eudora. That's a Y, right? Yeah, Eudora Gravegardener. I mean, A+ on the name. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may return it to the battlefield face down under its owner's control. It's a forest land. Huh.
Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may return to the battlefield. So you just go.
But it's green.
Yeah, so you don't have options to good board wipes. It's just like you play.
Like there's a lot of creatures that sack themselves in green. But do you really want to exile your Spore Frog or like your? I don't know.
Maybe
I'm not
you.
Really feeling that.
I don't know, maybe you just play more things along the lines of like.
I don't really like this. I think it like falls into like over here.
I think if it had another color, it would be like
black, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. But just making something into a forest is not great. This thing's cool. Whenever you cast a 4 mana 1/4 human shaman, you know, keep seeing shamans. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, so this goes in that deck also, Veyron. Scry 1, so it always scries 1. If the spell, if the spell's mana cost is 5 or greater, create a 4/4 blue and red elemental creature token. If that spell's value is 10 or greater, it deals 10 damage to an opponent chosen at random. So as a commander, it's still pretty okay.
Because Magecraft, it's like a decent value.
It's definitely better than Prismari.
Mm-hmm.
Scrying is okay. I feel like being an Izzet and trying to play this deck definitely makes it better than these. I feel like it starts to get clumped somewhere around here. Maybe like somewhere around here. It's better than the copy chick. Probably, because it just keeps happening, you know? But casting something 10 or greater. The thing is, there's a lot of X spells, and it's easy in red and blue to cast X spells at a very discounted cost. So this card is not bad.
But then it's also the thing is, it's at random.
It doesn't draw. It just makes a 4/4.
It
just scries.
It just feels too awkward, and they messed up its name.
I feel like it still goes somewhere around here, because is Octavia really better than it?
I kind of think so, because you get to actually make your targets. But I guess you making 4/4 isn't the worst thing if you're making. But that's also a lot of mana to spend just to make a 4/4. But I guess it's still making value.
Yeah, because you're probably drawing and then making a 4/4. You know, that's the thought. Is like it's not like you know.
And that's true. We do have that giant that makes like bigger spells like cost less. I think, don't we?
Is this really this good? Do you think these two? You don't think that maybe we move them down a little bit?
Because where's the C? C's already kind of like fringe okay. Like
yeah,
D would be like kind of don't play.
Okay,
so
her.
Tom, one funny thing about that land person, I was just curious. So there is 2 really interesting cards with it. It's called Life and Live and Living Lands. All forests basically become creatures. So because how that green thing is worded, they're not non-token creatures. They're just face down. Now they're face down forest sapperling creature tokens. So when they would die, if you so wanted to, they would just keep coming back. You can't deal with them.
That's cute.
It's cute.
Also, you're in green, so how are you tutoring it?
You're not. You're drawing it by creature draw.
So even just being green, yeah. But I think he's in the right spot. So this puts a land into play, untapped, and then pay 4 draw. If you control 8 or more lands, draw 2 cards instead. This is good. It's a land matter card.
Yeah.
It draws. It puts a land into play. I feel like it's better than them.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely better than her. Better than that. I feel like it might even make it to B for me. Like maybe like the bottom.
I think so. Yeah.
Also, it combos with Retreat of Coral.
The thing is, it's still land matters deck.
Like it's like top of beer.
Because you're drawing cards, you're putting lands into play. So it's like you're getting your mana and you're getting a hand. That's honestly no matter. Like you think about Magic, what's the 2 things you need to play? You need lands in play and cards in your hand, and she's kind of helping you do both of those. Now she's slower because you have to tap her to do her. So without untap abilities, she's not like amazing. But I mean, for an uncommon, I think she's fine.
Yeah, you can even make the argument to put her in the back of here. You know, just because like you're saying, the Simic land deck, like she's just good in that deck. Like she will do good in that deck. You can get 8 lands very, very, very quickly. And then she just starts generating a lot of value. And I told you she has combos also.
Mm-hmm.
Because Retreat to Carlhelm, like there's no good way to tutor it really in the colors other than like, you know, I don't know. The 3 mana put anything 3rd from the top, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But Retreat to Carlhelm is also just good in, you know, land decks. So with that alone, like, you know, she has combos. Like, so I feel like, you know, you can make the argument to put her in A. She's definitely a strong B. I feel like she's kind of like in between.
But again, she also falls on that side where like, how good is your 99? Because on her,
But even just 4 to tap her to draw,
yeah,
and then the potential 4 to draw 2, like I think that makes her better than most
Yeah.
everything on this list.
because I mean,
Like, I think
we
she pushes
play.
them.
I mean, we play instant or sorceries that are 4 mana, draw 2 cards, like scry 2, draw 2.
Wow, look at this, Derek. How much Simic is up there?
Well, maybe they should stop making Simic effects so good.
Dude, it's literally all sold out except for this broken ass bitch. Oh my god, look at that.
Yeah,
So
well, I mean,
any final like thoughts on anything you want to move it anywhere? Do you think this is better than this, or is it too hard to cast an instant and have good creatures?
that's the thing. It's like red decks struggle to keep value without like a constant like type running a bunch of cards that like
Yeah, I
exile
feel
the
like
top.
we move this down. Like, I think that all this is better, honestly.
Mm.
But it's still not D tier. Like, this does shit, you know?